So let's begin. This is my first review of a movie in 10 years. Not since the absolute horrendous movie that was Avatar, The Last Airbender by M. Night Shyamalan. Mind you, I still hate that movie. But this is something more important. To start off my review, I am doing Warcraft Movie 2016. And I will say, first off, this movie is based off the Warcraft lore. Not just World of Warcraft, not just some third game, fourth game of some game by Blizzard. No, this is Warcraft lore. From the Warcraft 1, the RTS game, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft, and everything that Blizzard has thrown together in the books, all the forums and discussions. This is based off the franchise of Warcraft that has touched so many gamers in so many different ways throughout the world. So, fuck all those other reviews that don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I'm not going to go into a play-by-play of what happened in the plot because I'll just have so many spoilers. I will speak as a fan of the Warcraft franchise. And I will say, this was a great movie. It did a lot of fan service. It included a lot of lore and had a lot of winks to the people who know the story. I was talking to a friend of mine and saying how much I love this movie simply because I am a fan of the games. And if you're not a fan of the games, if you don't know what's going on, you're going to look at this and come out of the movie thinking that it was a weird knockoff between Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. But it's not, because there were a couple of lines in there that was very Game of Thrones-ish, some scenes that felt like Lord of the Rings, but you're pulling from two very successful franchises already in order to get some ideas. And of course, there's going to be a couple of similarities because, you're taking place in a medieval type of battlefield between humans and orcs. That screams Lord of the Rings for people who don't know what's better. And Game of Thrones has gotten so huge now with, season 6 playing that everyone's talking about it. But all that aside, as a movie for people who love Warcraft, this does it justice. You have all these just terrific characters that you were able to play as in the Warcraft RTS. All these heroes of legends that you hear about when you were raiding in dungeons in World of Warcraft Vanilla and Burning Crusades. And the pace was a little fast. Character development was okay. Relationship development was a little weird. They'll start off one scene that two people are enemies, and then the next scene they're like best friends, and the next scene they are back to enemies, and the next scene they're lovers, and it's just very, very too quick. It seems that they had edited out a lot in order to save time, and that what has taken away from the relationship development from all the characters. But as far as a fun ride, it was very enjoyable from start to finish. You get to see and hear and freak out at all of seeing the characters that you have gone through come to life and move. And if you know the lore and the people who do, you know what's going to happen, but you're not going there to be surprised. You're not going there for the storytelling, because they did that in the video games and they did it very, very well. You are going there to see some badass battle scenes with awesome CGI and human interaction, and that's what you get. You get the colors, you get the fluidity, you get just the entertainment value of a movie that did the game justice. And I would recommend watching it for all of those people who have played the game and who were a fan of the franchise. Is it a great story? Is it very moving? There are a couple of parts that are interesting. A reviewer, I remember reading another review and watching another one, a different one. They all said the same thing, that you feel more for the orcs than you do for the human counterparts. And that goes back to what I was saying, that the relationships that were developed were kind of too fast paced. You don't really care too much for most of the side characters. You kind of focus most on Doratan, which was really cool to see him in action, actually. But yeah, no, it was a good movie. Go watch it. They are trying really hard to set up a sequel, though, and didn't really like that, but kind of liked it at the same time. That's why I say it felt kind of rushed. They should have focused on making a nice, solid story with a good ending before leaving room for additional trilogy or some other stuff, because there's so much source material. If they just focused on making a good start to finish movie with the material that they had, I think they could have done better. So overall rating, I would give this, honestly, if I was really looking at myself, a 6.5 out of 10. Now that 6.5 out of 10 is just for just normal movies. For people who do love the game and wanted to see it made into live action, it was definitely at least a 9. So if if you play the games, go watch it. If you have no idea who Arthas or the Lich King or Medivh is, then you will hate this movie. Can't say it better than that. Have a good one, guys.